Hi, you guys. Thank you very much for joining today. Just trying to get everything set up and get the microphones working correctly. Hopefully, everyone can hear. Neil, are you online now? Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Lovely, lovely, fantastic. So what I'm going to do, okay. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to be sharing my screen here shortly. But what I want to do is I just want to sort of introduce everyone to WorkPal, give you a little bit about WorkPal's background. My role as a senior software consultant here at WorkPal, and then obviously I'm going to hand over to Neil Lowes to give a little bit of a background into his business within the drainage industry. So WorkPal has been around now for 10 years. It's our 10th year anniversary. We specialize in workforce management across pretty much every sector, so from fire security, drainage, environmental, electrical. And ironically, Neil Lowes was one of my very first customers with WorkPal, so I wanted to obviously get him online and have a good chat with him about how WorkPal has helped his business develop throughout. So WorkPal, we are part of a much larger telecommunications company called Barclay Communications, and they are an O2 B2B Platinum partner, and they also specialize in the likes of landlines, voice over IP, etc. So as I say, then my role as a senior software consultant is to reach out to companies, give them the best experience possible from a software solution point of view, and then to onboard them as a client, train, develop, implement, and then the ongoing support from throughout with WorkPal. So Neil, I'm going to ask you just to give me a little bit of an overview, just solely of your business, how it started, when it started, what it's about.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, basically, going back now 15 years, I was obviously working for big drainage companies as a senior salesperson, and then decided to go into my own business, which I started basically as a consultant. So I would go to site and consult customers, tell them exactly what they needed, and then obviously quote for it, get the job, get subcontractors in to do the job, supervise all that, and then obviously to the customer satisfaction, and get the job completed. Then going back about probably 10 or 11 years, my son joined, my youngest boy, turned it more into a family business. He was obviously a qualified electrician, plumber, and all the rest we'd learned as we went along, kind of thing. So we were then able to diversify into more specialized stuff, like installing pump chambers, sewage plants, electrical stuff, plumbing. So basically that expanded over the next sort of 10 years. And now we have 4 engineers, Darren, who's joint managing director, myself and my wife, and the bookkeeper and accountant. So so it's grown literally from about 90,000 first year turnover to nearly 600,000 now.
Okay.
And basically on that road, we were obviously trying to build up stuff with equipment and trying to run it a little bit more efficiently each year as we get on. So and that's where we kind of got, and we just got contracts now with big companies and little smally ones, and we do lots of golf clubs and private catering in London, all that kind of stuff, and that's where we are at the moment.
Fantastic. Thanks for that. And I just want to sort of have a little brief Q&A session with you, Neil, then around, obviously, before taking on WorkPal, what do you think the challenges were that you faced regarding workforce management in general?
Basically, my phone's going off now. Okay. Hang on.
Okay.
Let me get rid of that.
You're fine.
Got rid of it now. So it comes on my computer as well. So.
No, you're fine.
Typical,
the background music's always good.
I've got rid of it now. Right. Okay. Basically, obviously implementing jobs out to engineers. Before I used to have to phone up and give them instructions over the phone or text them or anything like that before WorkPal come along. Obviously, we've been looking at a WorkPal type of solution for the last year or two, because we would have to get a lot more efficient with customers as we were getting more bigger clients, blue chip
Yeah.
customer kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
the challenges we found was obviously giving the job to the engineer, getting the information back, me having to sort it out, then sending it to the customer. It was a bit of a slog just for one job, basically. And obviously we knew we had to improve on that, which obviously WorkPal has now allowed us to do.
Of course, of course. And regarding paperwork and things like that, then Neil, I mean, sort of pre-WorkPal, did you find that you were, using the 3-ply sort of to fill out job sheets and give copies to customers? And sort of talk to me a little bit more about the office workload that you had.
Yeah, well, basically the engineer would go out with a pad, a triple kind of copy pad. He'd fill all the information in when he'd done the job and give the top copy to the customer. The other two remaining copies would come back into me, which meant that I might not get it the next day. I might get it 2 or 3 days later when the engineer I've met up or whatever. And then obviously when I got that job sheet, I then had to create an invoice from it, send it to the customer, send a report manually kind of thing as well. So I had to literally type out a report saying this is what we found, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff, which I don't have to do now, which has saved me probably, having WorkPal now, has probably saved me about 2 to 3 hours a day in administration.
Okay, okay. And that kind of leads me on to my next point that I was going to ask you later on. But I mean, have you received any customer feedback regarding the digital job sheets, the PDF copies that WorkPal automatically generates?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, everybody loves it. All my customers love it because they literally. I'll do one example. I had a new customer came in, a maintenance company, big maintenance company in London. We went and did a job for them. The engineer went to, obviously I booked it in on WorkPal, but he went there, took all his pictures, blah, blah, blah. Literally, he started the job at 9, and by 10 o'clock he'd finished it. By 10:05, I'd emailed the job sheet to the customer and
Yeah.
with the quotation, literally, and they accepted it all by 10:30.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
And obviously, so just as early, well, it was yesterday from British Aerospace, who worked for Sodexo, which is one of the biggest facility management companies in England. They do all the MOD, British BAE systems.
Okay.
They did a new job for one of the newer buildings, and we sent the report in yesterday when we did the job. And they were she emailed me back and said, absolutely love the job sheet, it's brilliant. And they have to obviously give that then to BAE Systems, their client, and they were well impressed as well. So
very good. Great to hear.
Good feedback. Yeah, yeah.
And regarding then, so I mean, I remember whenever you signed with myself back in, I think it was August, towards the end of August. Obviously I took you through the onboarding and sort of training. So how did you find the overall training and onboarding sort of process from start until you were actually active with WorkPal?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as you know, with WorkPal, it's the amount of input and information you put in makes it a lot easier later on. So it's quite intense to start off with for the first kind of 4 or 5 weeks or whatever, and obviously trying to get your head around it and doing it live and getting out there and doing it. But after that, once you've kind of mastered that bit and you've got all your input and your customers in, I mean, now literally it takes me, I don't know, 1.5 to 2 minutes to load a job and send it to the engineer.
Okay, fantastic. And the engineers, how did they find the mobile app as well? Have they given feedback?
Yeah, they love it. I mean, because obviously the other thing it does is obviously they log on in the morning, log off, and it gives me their total hours. So before WorkPal, I used to have to manually fill. They used to have to manually fill a timesheet in. They used to have to give that in to me. I then had to do all the process of putting it. Then it had to go over to the wages department, and now it just literally comes through at the end of the week. I click it, and bang, and go straight over to the wages, and she pays it straight away.
Fantastic. And the last question, because I'm sure you're under a bit of pressure there, would be: would you recommend WorkPal? And if a yes or no, why?
Oh, definitely yes. Yeah, I mean, It's made us a lot more efficient. It's made us, you know, with clients now, when they get the reports, they're super impressed with it. You know, and it just makes life a lot easier for me as well, because obviously I'm trying to cut back now because I'm getting to the age where I'm trying to take a few days off. And
Lucky you. Lucky you.
yeah, that's me, hopefully. And yeah, this is allowing, it's easy to run and just allows me to do it a little bit more. So, you know, rather than being stuck in the office all day, by about 2 generally or 3, I can pack it in. And
Of
I've
course.
done everything for the day and loaded everything on the computers for the guys for their hand. They've got Galaxy pads, so
Yes.
everything goes onto that pad. And yeah, it's just a lot easier with lots of things, with tracking as well. We've got the tracking option as well, so I can track vehicles. If a
Yeah.
customer rings me and says, oh, you know, he's running late, where is he? I can go, there he is, he's 2 minutes away or whatever. And it puts the customer's mind at rest, because that's exactly where they are. So
Yeah. Of course. And that's what it's all
any
about, I suppose, as
chance with
well.
any job anybody has, you've got the ability to check back and go, right, it was on site from that time to that time, etc., etc. And
Perfect.
there's no kind of comeback on anything. And also, obviously, it stores everything as well. So if a customer comes back to me and says, oh, you know, when did we do that job? I can literally go straight on it. I can bring it back up again. I can see everything, including all the pictures and what the engineer said. And yeah, it's just brilliant. It makes life so much easier.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Neil, thank you so much for answering those questions.
Right.
And you know what I want to do is I'll bring you back in later on. I'm just going to do a very quick sort of office demo of WorkPal. I did intend on sharing my mobile, but the software that I use to share the screen, it's down at the minute, so I'll not be able to share the mobile, unfortunately. But what I can do for anyone that is listening and that will be watching is I can do a live one-to-one demonstration. I had to unblock a firewall to allow me to do this on the desktop, and it seems to have conflicted with
Yeah.
the software that I use to share the phone. But you know, so just while I've got some of the guys on board today, would be to talk about the different options that WorkPal has as well. So not only do we supply software, but we also create digital forms, and our digital forms can come in any way, which shape or form. No pun intended, of course. But with our reports that we create and digital forms, they can range from anything like a rehab daily work record, a jetvac daily work record, CCTV daily work records. You've got different survey cards, asset service forms, you know, even things from a health and safety weekly checklist as well. So we can turn any paper form into a digital form, fully coded and built to spec, which is absolutely fantastic. And then on top of that as well, you know, documents can also be added to clients and sites. So you know, things like method statements, risk assessments, even drawings can be added to documents, added to sites, clients, and even jobs specifically. Okay. So I've just shared my screen there, guys. I'm hoping, Neil, can you see that at your end?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep,
Yes. Yeah.
fantastic. No problem at all. Perfect, perfect. So I've just done a little system sort of setup here for you guys to give you a little run through into WorkPal and what it's about. So these orange tiles, one of the first things that I love pointing out here is that WorkPal has now launched its self-managed preferences. Where historically you would have had to have, you know, contacted WorkPal to get this stuff set up. Now you can actually manage your own preferences. So you can have general settings set where you can manage what is displayed on the job sheet, how many photos you can take on the job. So I can actually ensure that before a job's completed, the engineers have to capture at least 2 photos or whatever I put in there. You can also control things like signatures, if they're mandatory or not, and obviously job reoccurrence. You can make up your own job statuses and job types. So I've got quite a lot there, as you can see, but you know, you can then filter your jobs when a job's complete into the different, is it a planned maintenance, is it a installation, is it a whatever the case may be. So I'll go back to the start here, and it's quite unusual because normally I have someone speaking to me when I do this, but I'll show you first of all how we manage our clients within WorkPal. So as you can see here, we have a list of groups. So you can group your clients whichever way you want. I've got mine in order of country. However, you could have commercial, domestic, whichever way you want. And within then your groups, you will have a list of clients, and within clients, you can also then manage your sites. Don't forget, as I did say, you can add documents to clients and also documents to sites. So there's no limit to the amount of clients or sites that we have within WorkPal. And what I'm going to do here, you can search. So if I search for Thompson, this client here is this is the demonstration platform that I use for my drainage demonstrations. So here I'm now in site level, and what you would see here is a list of historic jobs, okay, at the bottom. We also offer full asset management, and notes can also be added to the desktop as well. I add a little access note because the note is added to the site, this particular note will add on every single job moving forward. Things like site email, very handy here because for the likes of job sheets and any forms that have been completed, this particular email address will actually pull through for you to email your customer straight away. So it's super easy to use. Just to show you then how simple it is to add a job, and I'll come back to the assets in a little bit. If I just open a job, all I'm going to do is give a little job title here. So what I'm going to call this job is a CCTV jet wash and also a survey. And in the job description, you can put whatever you want, so I'm just going to say client has requested. And then I'm going to say it's going to take roughly 3 hours. I'm going to put the job status as in progress, and this is where you can have your own job statuses and own job types, of course, as well. So we'll call this just a planned works. And then you can obviously build in your own SLAs as well, guys. So from here, if I select immediate, the recommended completion date is that the job needs to be completed in 8 hours time, but you can rename these and you can have your own sort of SLAs built into this as well. This is where if this was, for example, a bi-yearly or a yearly service, I can make this job reoccur, which means that I don't need to build this job anymore. I would just simply say yes, and I want it to reoccur every 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years. And then I can also put a stop reoccurrence date on that as well. Now, I'm not going to do a scheduled start or end date because what I want to do is I want to show you a really simple scheduling tool as well. So that's me now. That's the job actually created, but I'm going to add some layers to the job. And WorkPal does this really simply by tasks. So what I can do is I can add tasks, and WorkPal actually has the power of fast entry coding. Some of you guys may know this as a schedule of rates or SORs. So you can bulk upload things like your clients, your sites, and also fast entry codes, which makes building a job so much more simpler. An example of a fast entry code would be if I just start to type drain, you can see here that I've pre-built these into WorkPal. So I click on that and it pre-populates the task description, and I've also got a price in there as well. WorkPal fully integrates with QuickBooks, Xero, and we also integrate with Sage. And what this means is that because I'm adding my tasks with prices associated, this will automatically in real time in the background link through to the job sheet, excluding price, but it will also be creating an invoice with this task and the price there, so it saves so much work and time in the office. I'm going to add another. I'm just going to type drain again, just to show you the example, and I'm going to use a 300-meter jet and hose. I'm going to add another task, and I'm going to do then a little CCTV drain survey. And the last one there is to capture photos. So if I type photos, it'll bring me through this and create. So what I've done is I've just created 4 tasks. This is actually what the engineer would see on his mobile device. WorkPal works on both Android and iOS. And from an engineer's perspective, you can use this on a phone or a tablet as well. Okay. So I've got my 4 tasks, and I can add a note, a job specific note, and that can be anything, we can have drop-down boxes as examples. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to leave a little contact note. I'm going to say ask for Neil on arrival. And this will all appear on the engineer's device. Now, looking at the assets, on this particular site, we have 4 assets. And assets are simply anything that you would sort of service or maintain on a site. WorkPal will store all historic asset sheets and jobs within. So if I was to double click on this here, you can see, maybe actually show you a better an asset. Let's go for the drainage system on site. Here you can see a full service history, okay, of all service sheets completed against this one particular asset. And over here you can see asset fields. So you can actually have up to 50 customized asset fields that will hold and store information on each asset on site. It's just to show you an example of an asset service form. And by the way, this can be emailed directly, like so. And if I just double click this, this will show. So I've put my own email address in there to show you this coming through. But this is what the asset service form looks like. And as you can see, you'd have lots of information and space there to add information. And there is the email that just came through regarding the asset. Okay, so nothing that's sent from WorkPal is actually WorkPal branded. Now we can build in your own forms at this stage. So if you guys, have your own service form, we can digitally create that, therefore saving time and paper. So what I would do here now is that's the job built. I'm happy enough with that. I'm going to schedule this job out using our really nice scheduling tool. And what you can see here is a list of engineers. This blue line is the time that it is now, and there's the job that I've created. And WorkPal obviously creates its own job number, its own unique job number for every job. We do have within the job, though, a little space for a client reference number, and that can be any number that you use to track jobs already in place. And all I need to do to assign this to a client, or sorry, an engineer, would be to drag and drop that to whoever I feel is best suited to do the job. From here, this is when the engineer will actually get a notification on his device. He can open up that job. He can click directions, and this will take him directly to the site. And then within that job, he will see the tasks to be completed. He can add digital forms. He can leave notes. And then the customer and client signs off as well. Unfortunately, as I say, I would love to be able to show that, but with the firewall being turned off, it's not allowing me to do so. When a job comes back as complete, to show you an example, you can see the different color codes here at the top of the scheduling tool. So a blue color like that is completed. If the job is in progress, it would be green. And we just simply click in. So if I go back into this particular client, I'll actually show you a closed job and what a closed job looks like. So this is what a closed job looks like when a job's came back. And as you can see here, Chris Thompson created this job. It was entered on the 7th of April. It's due to be completed by that time. You can see the agent that completed it, and then a list of tasks that were completed. And at the bottom here, all you're doing is working from left to right across a closed job. So I can look at any documents via the drainage site plan to this particular job, and also a list of RAMs. And you can also make this visible too. So if it was only visible for the office, I could remove mobile, and then it wouldn't be available for the mobile engineer also. So photographs captured by the engineer on the job will show here, and we can have it time and date stamped also. Photographs can be added from the desktop, or the engineer can just hold down the add button on their mobile device and then add photos from their gallery if required. So signatures captured will be shown here. And if I just jump in here to the job sheet, this can then be emailed directly to a client, or if you double click, it'll bring it up. So this is where your logo would be shown. And then this pulls through all the information from the job that was completed automatically. There is no work involved in the completion of this job sheet. As soon as the job's complete, WorkPal will pull through things like the tasks and notes, any photographs that were captured on the job, and again, signatures. So to work through, any forms completed will be shown here. And again, any forms that are completed will be stored forevermore against the job, and also within the forms section, so you can filter down through the jobs and see exactly there. So an example, there's our COVID-19 form. This comes with WorkPal as standard if you want it. And this can actually be set up as a pre-job form. So once you arrive on site, after travel times being recorded, you press start job, this form comes up, or we can have a risk assessment pop up if that's something that you need added in. So like I mentioned earlier on, we integrate with QuickBooks, Xero, and Sage. So if, for example, you wanted to send this job into one of those accountancy packages, I can click on the invoice button. I can edit the invoice. So this invoice actually pulls through things like the job title, job description, and then also the tasks and anything else that's on the job. And I've got this set up for pre-populate a visit charge for £100. This can still be edited. I can, anything can be added or removed here. So I can still add. And if I type drain, the FE code function works. Okay. But let's just leave it at that for now. If I save that, this is what your invoice looks. Customer facing, and this would be available straight away. So it removes all of the time of paperwork coming back and forth. This invoice is available to be sent straight away. So what you can see here, you would have your logo, all the works, the price. We can build in discounts if that's how you guys like to work it. And again, at the bottom of this, we can have a little footer with payment details as well. The client gets that. There would be a button between archive and view job, and that button would be associated with either QuickBooks, Xero, or Sage. And as soon as that button's pressed, the relevant information from this job and invoice is sent directly into your QuickBooks or Xero. So moving back then, just to give you a little bit of an insight, obviously WorkPal, you can raise quotes from WorkPal. So quoting is actually quite similar to the feature that you just saw with the invoice. You add quote, you then select your group, your client, your site, you give it a job title, give it a job description, and you build your invoice exactly as you would do, you build your quote exactly as you would do on an invoice. The output is very, very similar to what you saw there for the invoice. So moving through then, obviously fleet, you can add your fleet. You can see I've got 22 vehicles of mine here, but within the fleet, you can store information, MOT dates, etc. You can also add a note to that particular vehicle. And of recent, you can now actually add documents, okay? So maybe MOT certificates or things like that can be scanned in and added and stored within WorkPal. And you'll see here there's 102 sheets. These are our vehicle check forms. So we do offer this vehicle check form that comes with WorkPal. And it can be set as a pre-shift form, which means once I press start shift first thing in the morning, this very simple and quick form pops up for the engineer to walk around the van or whatever the vehicle is, do its checks, sign it off. You can capture photos of it as well. And then it's stored forevermore within WorkPal. Everything feeds back to the Office Live. So as soon as a form is complete, it's available in the office. As soon as a task has been completed or a photograph has been taken, it's available in the office in real time. WorkPal also works offline as a mobile engineer. So if I was in, for example, a basement, I would still be able to use the app as if I weren't in a basement in Signal area. And simply as soon as I return from that basement, which had no signal, to a Signal area, it will automatically sync all the information back to the office as soon as available. We have the functionality to support helpers. That would be things, the best example I can give here would be an apprentice, where, for example, apprentice is on board. You don't need a license for that particular person. So what they can do is they can sign in against the job, and you'll be able to track that helper's time against the job as well, showing and proving that they were there. Now, invoices. The Invoices tab will show you every single invoice within WorkPal, and you can have different statuses of new and archived. So once an invoice has been paid, you would just select it and move it to the archive so that you can see what invoices have been paid. WorkPal has the functionality to export this information, and it would export it then onto an Excel spreadsheet where you can play about with it. But you can also filter down from here. So you can filter down by England, by particular sites, and then you can batch these. There would be a button here in real life that would allow you to send these directly into QuickBooks Zero or Sage, or you can just double click and that will show you. You can see whether an invoice has been emailed to the client or not here. So WorkPal, really, really simple to use. Now, I did mention that we can create reports. So WorkPal also has the functionality to create bespoke reports for customers as well. So maybe any information that's put into our system can be reported out of it. So just need to let us know exactly what report needs created, and we can do that for you. But an example of a report that comes with WorkPal would be our shift report. So the natural sort of flow of an engineer's day is that they will clock into their shift, and then they will start their job. They will end their job, and then they will end their shift. And you can run a report daily, weekly, monthly. I'll run this report for the month of March, and I'll click create. This is going to show me now a shift report for the month of March, and in reality, you would actually have a list of every single engineer that you have. It's only me on this actual platform, so you only see my name here. But what this will show is per day during that period, their shift start, total job hours, how many jobs they've done, overtime hours as well, and then their total shift hours. And at the bottom of this report, it'll give you a period summary. So this would show a list of your engineers for this time period with their total job hours, travel hours, if that's how you want to track as well, shift hours, and their total jobs. And then from this here, you can actually see how efficient your engineers are. We've got a little traffic light system here, but what this will show is that, is travel hours too high? Is there a way that it can be made more efficient? And this report can give that functionality. So we can build traffic light systems into reports to show green, amber, red, things like that. Within the users tab here, you can see a list of my mobile engineers, and then you can see a list of desktop users. What's really nice about this is that you can see there that the battery on my tablet that I use is 100%. And in real life, if you click into that, what you'll see here is a pin drop of where the engineer is. So it will show a little pin drop on this map where the engineer has pressed start shift. It'll show a little trail roughly as to where they've went. It'll show a little house sort of sign, which would be the job. And then it would show a blue trail, and then it would drop a pin drop with an E, which means end shift. So overall, you've got a nice little GPS tracking while they're using the WorkPal app. And from here, you can see then any open jobs, closed jobs that this particular engineer has done. Overall, a really simple application to use, but massively effective. The last thing I want to show you is how simple it is to import information into WorkPal. So may you have a system in place already, may you have an accounting package already, or maybe you store your existing clients on a spreadsheet. You can data import into WorkPal, and you can do anything from jobs, which is a new feature, but clients, sites, your SOR fast entry codes, your fleet asset codes, and parts as well. So if I click into my clients import, all I would simply do is save this to my desktop, copy and paste the client names, addresses, postcodes, etc., as you can see. Save that, and then I will just simply browse, select it, and import that directly into WorkPal. So to give you an idea of what happens, if you were to, if you decided that WorkPal was a choice, is that we have a full support team and a training plan in place with an implementation manager and also customer success manager in place. As of sort of last month, we have really focused on driving the onboarding process with WorkPal. So to get set up naturally takes between 4 to 6 weeks, and that's the whole implementation, onboarding, training, and then you have ongoing support from the team on site. We're UK based in Belfast, and we're also now looking to expand our product development team right up to 20. So guys, I just wanted to say thank you. And before we finish the webinar today, Neil, is there anything that I've said there that you think, it's not true, or do you agree with everything that I've shown, that it's simple to use, that it's, what's your thoughts on
Yeah,
it overall?
yeah. I mean, for my business, has been really good. I will admit that I've not used all of it yet. I'm
Yeah,
still I'm still loading stuff, but the simplicity of it is you can change whatever you want to change and input whatever you want to put. So it's always ongoing. You can change it as the business changes. And yeah, looking at, I mean, I've learned a few things with you going through that, to be honest. So it's
yeah.
kind of,
I
kind
know.
of, yeah, yeah. The problem I have is, well, not the problem. Yeah, it is a bit of a problem. Is when you get too busy. Nothing to do with WorkPal. It's with me. So I'm having to obviously get somebody in the office to help out as well
Of course.
as we're getting busier. So it'll give me more time to concentrate on WorkPal and set up a better, the more information you can put on WorkPal, the easier it is. So
Yeah,
it'll give more
exactly.
time to do that, which, by my own admission, I haven't done all of it. I'm probably only using, 50% or something like that of it at the
Yeah,
moment,
yeah,
so I can
of
see
course.
there's a lot more to go, and there's a lot more I can do, which will, enhance the business basically.
100%, 100%. We also offer training videos, guys, as well. So little snapshots, sort of 5-minute videos that helps that initial setup, as well.